Okay, so in site plans, we're just going to go over what goes in them, and we'll do a couple, and we'll go on. We've really have gone over most of this in the previous chapters. Now it kind of builds up and putting it all together. So I think we can just look at the requirements. And that's on page 272. Pull that up here. Yeah. Right. Okay. Right, this stuff. I need it to be. Something like that. Okay, see, well, it's not super easy to see because of the lighting here. A little better. Anyway, a vicinity map is, sometimes you've seen maps that have different of an area, but you know, you're so zoomed in, like how do you know where that is? So you have like an overall, like a smaller scale map that's smaller somewhere to show where you're looking. Like if you were looking at a city in Italy or something, and you might have a map of Italy to show where that city is in a small corner of the map. Those are called inset maps. A vicinity map helps you see where you're looking, right? A legal description of the property is a verbal or written description of the boundaries, where it is, and we'll go over what the procedure or how that's written. There's also zoning, right? So well, in any city there's certain zones, right? So you don't put industrial buildings or processes and companies that make a lot of noise and process things that have a lot of exhaust or pollution or something like that in the middle of a neighborhood or whatever, right? So you zone that stuff out. You have residential zoning, commercial zoning, industrial, wildlife, wetlands, that kind of designation. Okay, property lines, we know how to draw those, so that's nice. You also include the square footage of the area, the topography, right? Contour lines, spot elevations, test, like where they test the soil. Sometimes that needs to be included. And wherever other things are, such as street center lines, other concrete driveways, parking areas. Floor elevations, ground elevations, existing elevations, and proposed building elevations. Roads, other proposed structures, the details, just some overall details of the, like if it's a residential construction, the number of beds, the driveway, square footage of the dwelling, the building footprint. We already talked about driveways, setbacks. What's a setback? Ever heard of that? Something, yeah, something like that. Where, yeah, you're not allowed to build too close to your property line, right? It's mostly inside your boundary. right? So if your property exists, you're and you want to add on to the house or something, you can't go. I think the rule around here is 5 feet. You can't breach that 5 foot setback from the property line. Okay, that's there's also easements. I don't know, where is that? Do setbacks. Okay, easements are another thing where usually on the front of the property by a road, where an easement is an allowable kind of like a setback, where power lines or gas lines or water lines or sewer lines or drainage can exist, right? So they can go in and tear up your yard because there's this easement that goes through your property, across it or whatever. Usually roads have an easement along them for that very purpose. Around here, the power lines and the gas lines are also that way. Other locations of, well, wells, septic tanks, other methods of sewage. We'll talk about 3 different methods of waste disposal. The dimensions of the, if like a septic tank, we'll talk about that and those dimensions in there. Other drainage types of features. Let's see, drainage channels and direction of flow. That usually goes along with the contour lines, where you can show the proposed. Well, we have a whole chapter where we talk about how the land is formed to allow for drainage. Okay, existing things that you're not going to take out, like large trees, or existing or proposed trees even. So that's not to say landscaping necessarily, because would what? Yeah, you wouldn't want to disturb it, so you would have to place that. North arrow scale, the basic stuff that we've project. Usually this stuff's in the title block. Other stuff in a legend that would, with notes, there should be a notes section that explains something. All right, so that's your basics of what can go in. Not everything is necessary. Not all site plans will have all of this for whatever reason.
Do you know what exactly?
That allows the construction to be planned, like how much earth has to be removed, what kind of soil it is. If they drill in and they find a lot of sandstone, they might change the way they build the foundation, right? So there's something called post-tensioning, right? So they build the foundation, but they put these iron rods through it, and they tension them down so that it basically cinch up the foundation so it won't move on like more unstable soil. So things like that. So the soil test is critical to know that it's not going to settle too much, or how much it will settle, how much you have to excavate and replace to build on a solid foundation. Mainly it, and how much is going to drain for drainage also. It's very sandy. There's erosion considerations as well as how it's going, how it's going to absorb that water as well. Are you going to drain it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, mobile homes. So if you wanted to build a mobile home park, let's say, and have people bring their mobile homes and park them there, and you charge them a rent or something, I think you do. I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure you have to get all that permitted and make sure that the land's stable enough for that. You have to do earthwork to make sure that the home's not going to fall off a cliff or whatever, right? So, or a road away or whatever. So the drainage and whatever has. Yeah, well, you don't want. Yeah, it has to be safe, right? Or what are those things called? Sinkholes, right? So there's for that as well. That does happen where the water runs and erodes away underneath. Okay, cool. So those are the basics of the site plans. What goes in them anyway. So we'll talk about some of these, take a look at some of them. What should... Well, here's a... I'm going to show this. This is like page 275. Get better than that. Let's... That's a little better. Okay, well, here's a plan view, right? So plan is just top view. Like mechanical terms, that's top, front, side. In architectural and civil terms, you're looking at plan, section, and profile views. So section view would be like the right side view, or just a side view, if you will. And then a profile would be a front type of view where you see elevation change. So what are we looking at here? It looks like a road. It has station markings, right? So point out a few of these. Looks like the center of the road, right? We have these station marks. Looks every half station. 101.50, 102, 102.50, and so on. 103 fourth. Very shaky. Okay. You'll notice that the stationing is different on Nehalem Highway. There's a station at 30. That's 3,000 feet from the... This is 10,000 feet from some sort of starting position. Well, it looks like it starts at 100, so it's more codified rather than actual distance as far as from a certain point. Okay. What else are we... Anything to point out that's in here? Besides the north arrow and the scale, I'm seeing two types of scales, right? So I see this 1 inch is 40 feet. That would stop shaking, that'd be great. And we have a graphic scale. And probably, I would expect somewhere you would have, 1 to what, 480? Which would be its absolute scale. But maybe not. Off to the right, although we can't see it, the legend. I can move over without taking it too much. Sorry, what? Sure. Uh-huh. Oh, so a lot of graphic scales are like that, where the subdivisions are smaller on the left, right? So between the 0 and 20, it's broken up into four. So that's what, 5 foot spaces? That's all it is. It's just a finer scale. And on the right is more broken up into 10s and 20s. Which, is not as useful, really. I mean, that's great for like road maps and things like that if you're traveling or whatever. On a construction type map, I don't even know why you would do that. I would just, the 1 inch is 40 feet is great because you can use your engineer scale on it and to measure stuff. You can go to town, right? In this case. So this construction, it looks like it's just a road plan. And off to the right, we can get some more information from the notes and the legend. Here's some grading notes. Look at what they say. I'm also seeing some contour lines in there as well, right? Anyway, direct grading toward all drainage features. Yeah, and the legend's gonna kind of delineate some of those features that we're talking about. Anyway, sidewalk cross slope to be 2% max. So that's the slope of the sidewalk left and right if you're walking down it, right? Besides, instead of forward or back, right? Side to side, that's cross slope. So max 2%. Okay. So a typical sidewalk, what? 5 feet? I don't know. Let's say it's an 8 foot sidewalk for that matter, just to be easier. And 2% of that would be 0.16 feet. Yeah. So 16 hundredths of a foot. That's 2 inches. So the sidewalk can't tilt more than 2 inches one way or another for an 8 foot sidewalk.
You made like
Well, in that case, 2% slope. Yeah. So if it goes from the middle and it crowns in the middle, like for drainage, which is fine, then it can't be like half of that because half that height. So for 8 feet wide, it can change from end to end no more than 16 hundredths of a foot, which is like 2 inches. All right. What's 0.16 times 12? Yeah, it's almost 2 inches. So, but if it crowned in the middle, that'd be 1 inch because it has half the distance to slope down. Half of that.
fuck.
In this case, yeah. Well, then, yeah, at some point the city has to repair that kind of stuff, right? So, yeah. And we see some around town where the sidewalk got damaged or it's sloping
They
or.
got them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so the ground's moved and it just popped, that cement, the concrete slabs, because there's joints along every so often, right? Those are expansion joints that allow them to, when it settles or when the ground moves or whatever, they have these felt or kind of material that allows them a little bit of space to expand and contract. When they get bad, where the earth got wet and soil swelled or whatever, the ground moves. So, yeah, especially with construction and near traffic, like heavy traffic, that'll move roads and stuff around. So. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna find that too much around here, but it's mostly just the mechanical forces of
So, but
human
this is
behavior.
like they built it.
Yeah.
Slope.
Yep. Yep. As it's built. Okay, a couple other things. Top of curve elevations are 1/2 a foot above top of pavement. So, well, there's a gutter, right? So you have like a road. Top of pavement elevation. So a curb transitions from the road, and they're calling that pavement. So the road pavement, I guess, or the gutter pavement. But they say the top of the pavement, and if that means the top of the road, so it dips down. The road typically has a crown to let water run off of it and stuff, and into the gutter, and then the gutter slope the other way to drain into the storm drains. So the top of the road, apparently, the curb has to be 1/2 an inch above that, 1/2 a foot above that, so 6 inches. So 6-inch curbs from what they say the top of the pavement. I don't know if that's the top of the road or just the top of the, how the curb has a cement part to it where the gutter is. So the top of that, and it's sloped down a little bit, and then the curb pops up. So it has to be 1/2 a foot above that top edge. Yeah, that's what I think it is, but it could be the road. Okay, adjust all utility structure rim elevations to finished grade. That's an important one. So, like, those are like manhole covers, right? So you notice when you drive along the road, you hit those manhole things because they're not at road elevation or whatever, right? So it's kind of important to get it there. It's difficult to construct apparently around here, so or anywhere. Gee. It's all over. You really have to dodge them. But yes, what they call the rim elevations are, they have these steel pipes that they put for access to the drainage lines or the sewer lines, so you can have access to them in case repairs need to happen or whatever. So those pipes have a rim elevation, right? That needs to be controlled, same as the road elevation. But the road settles and, traffic drives on them, and the steel or those rims aren't going to settle as much as the road and blah, blah, blah. So they do put them lower. Like usually on a new road, you're going to find that the manhole covers are lower than the road. It dips. It's expected that the road's going to be compressed over time. So in 50 years, maybe you won't have to be dodging them. Yeah, it'll be so smooth. By then, they'll have to repair the road. Yeah. Here's some legend items, right? So top of pavement, TP, rim elevation, front of walkway, back of walkway, existing grade. So they have these abbreviations for that kind of stuff. Limit of grading, I just can't move this table because it's going to shake it. Okay, limits grading, that's going to be these dashed lines. So we see all these dashed lines around. And when we get to the earthwork chapter, we talk about how to define those limits. Kind of interesting, actually. Yeah. Well, yeah, they do call it a sidewalk up here and front of walkway elevation. Yeah. Oh, so this is, I don't know if we would call that a sidewalk or not, because it looks like That's like a gravel walkway or something? Well,
Line is the
there's the center line of the highway, yeah. And then these lines are like the sewer line. Top of the pavement elevations are listed. Yeah, all these top of the pavements are at the curb, right? See these TPs, top of pavement? Those are on the edge of the road, right?
okay.
So here's the center line of the road. Well, okay, that blue line is following that. Well, okay, I'm actually tracing the sewer line better than I am that dash line or that center line. So the center line going by that thick dark line, which is most likely the center line of the sewer that has the stationing on it. So the center line of the road, and this is the edge of the road right here, and
Are you sure
right.
about that? Why is it that I can?
Yeah, it would have to be graded, right, before you build the road. So that's your grading plan on top of underneath the proposed road plan.
And that is,
What 50 foot?
where's 102?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's 50 feet apart.
Is that arrow?
Oh, across here? It could be 30 feet easy, right? So that distance, if that distance is 50, that distance is a little bit less. It's not, it's more than half, I would say, or close to half. So 25 to 35 feet, a typical road. Okay, that's reasonable. Here are some temporary drainage feature, right? Those dashed lines, or those hatched lines. Man, every time I touch this,
Uh-oh.
yeah. So there's a few of them where the drainage of the road comes off. I don't know if there's anything past that. Nope. So the light gray are the existing contours, and the darker contours are the proposed, right? So after the earthwork, what's proposed of those lines. That's great. Um, that's all we're seeing right now. Looks like a lot, but pick it apart. You got a road, you got the grade, and you got different features for drainage. And those are catch basins. See note 5. Note 5 says adjust inlet top to finished grade. Oh, so yeah, those are well, I've seen some around their water catchments, right? So where access to the storm drain. So it looks like this line right here is a storm drain. We have a catchment against it. We probably have one across here too. There's a catchment right there. That's more normal, right next to a curb, right, as the water flows. Yeah, we have another one down here. So this line is probably also a storm sewer. What do they call it? A storm drain? Yeah, there's catchments all along that storm drain. This,
Right next-
this.
right.
Oh, this big thing. That's the soccer field. That's a goal. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what that is. Well, that's just a solid line, so that's got to be some sort of boundary. Yeah, I don't know. It's not labeled, so really, I don't know what that is. It's a solid line. I would expect that to be like a contour where it's been contoured out, right? That's the proposed contour. It's not labeled, so it's hard to know what that is. I mean, they're all over here, right? And these are these thicker solid lines, and the only thing that matches that is that proposed contour without the label. So I gotta think those are like where you're contouring, and maybe those are existing like pavements, right? So these are slabs of cement, or like there's a building there or something, and you're not gonna draw out that building. You're just outlining where you're not gonna grade across, right? Yeah, right. A boundary, basically. You're not gonna. Yeah, and to me, that's I see, and this isn't in the legend either, but these phantom lines, right? These are property boundaries, and then I see the building. They didn't draw the whole building, but there's your at the front of the building footprint. That would be most likely affected by this plan, right? That's why they're putting it in there. Yeah, and then I see, okay, now I see the property boundary coming around here, all the way across here. This is the property boundary for this house. So that's a house. I see this thing over here too, so that could be another, driveway or something. That looks like a driveway to me, with a side parking where you can park the cars this way. What I'm seeing. Wish we could look it up on a map. Just find it.
Next is one long-
Oh, this is this I think is a drain. This could be like a ravine, or yeah, um, ditch. It is close to a ditch.
Yearly.
Well, it shares the boundary with it. Yeah, could be like a wall too there, something. Think we could find this? Be nice to see it in like a this is Missouri Avenue, Nehelem Highway.
Courtesy.
Nehelem. Right. Nehelem Highway and Missouri Avenue. Well, here's Nehelem Highway. We're looking for, yeah, and where it hits. Here's where it goes north-south, right? We have our north arrow to the right, so it's actually right. So, oh, that's Missouri and Nehelem, but here's your north arrow, right? The north is actually going this way. So I'm looking for Missouri to be a north-south running kind of S curve. What is this? Bridge Street? I don't know what that is. Is there another street?
Or
Okay. So, where was Missouri Avenue? They could have just messed up the name so we don't actually look, but I don't see why they would have to. No sensitive information there. Oh, here's Missouri Avenue. There's a little S curve, right? Yeah. That guy's driveway. I mean, and there's a walkway on it now, so I don't know what. Is that the right?
if you Alabama,
Oh yeah, it's up here. There it is.
there it is.
So there's. I can't really see his driveway, but yeah, and there's the ditch.
Oh, so that's way there.
Oh, that's Alabama Avenue.
Yeah.
So it's not a ditch. Thank you. Mm-hmm. This looks like a ditch. Or no, that's just
another
a.
driveway.
Yeah, that's just another. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Good. Yep, that sweetly helps. So anything else over here that we, does that little S turn and then kind of curves over there and goes off the edge of the map. So just all that.
How
Yeah.
close can you-
Not really. Yeah, you do see the easements though, right? I mean, this is like, it looks like a slope coming off of that or something. Yeah. I went too far actually. No, second. These are those houses above it. That's that one house with little. That's this house, it looks like. There.
smaller than
Right, different scale, right? So it'd be like that, where scale goes. Okay. So, the rest of this chapter, I believe, talks about the sewage. Like, there are three main ways to get wastewater off the residence, and where does it go, how to manage it. They also talk about legal descriptions as well, and I think we already kind of talked about. Remember our discussion about townships and ranges and the public land survey system? So those are included in the legal description. Yeah. If we go to sanjuancounty.net, I believe we can pull up. Sometimes they change this, but if we go to like a parcel map, we could just zoom in and find a property. About near the college somewhere. Here's some residences over here, right? Here's a residence, don't know who it is. If I click on it, it's this public information, so we're not like doxing anyone, but here's some information. Legal, so we'll see like a legal description here. It's not the full legal description, but it does start out with, it does include, anyway, some of the information such as the subdivision name. So this is Ojo del Sol subdivision, and this is lot number 2, apparently. Block number 1580, and it's on page 560. On page 560, you would expect to see like these lines and where they're tied into and the radius of that arc, where the center is, and these are probably radial lines from the center. Oh, here we go. So the center would be here, and this would be potentially a radial line, most likely because it's like this cul-de-sac, right? So it has like probably a 50-foot radius or something. And from the center, these lines going out, maybe that line is not, but this line would be. That would be called a radial line. And then this might have an arc to it. Hello. I want to select all. Away. Away. Now I don't know how to deselect it. Just getting worse. Okay. All right. Pick a different one. There we go. So Windsor Heights subdivision, lot 4, and lot 24, block 1541, so forth. I don't think you're going to see, yeah, the more detailed information, such as the description of the actual property boundary, but you would find it in on that page. Yeah, that's not a block. That's a book number, I guess. Here, book 1541 on page 560. Cool. No, that is block. No, that's book. Sorry, I read that wrong. Book and block. It doesn't say what block. Maybe it didn't. Maybe that subdivision just doesn't have block numbers. It's just lot numbers. Only one block, basically. So either way. So a full legal description would start with, well, would include anyway. It depends on how it's written, how it might start, but usually it starts with the shorter stuff, the smaller stuff. Like this would be lot number 4 and block number whatever 1 or whatever, and then in subdivision name, and then it would talk about the township or the section number or the quarter section or the quarter section, depending on how that subdivision was blocked out. And so it would talk about the PLSS data, and then finally end with the township and range, and then talk about the principal meridian, which would be the New Mexico principal meridian. So, and then it would mention the county it was in, likely. That would be its completed legal description, minus like the property edges and the directions and distances of those lines and where they tied into, right? So some benchmark that it would tie into, such as the corner of a township or a section corner or a 16th corner, where you would find, where you could possibly find like the benchmarks, those brass caps. Those are your benchmarks for tying in these subdivisions. So any of these subdivisions are built off of that legal mark so that they can prove that they built it in the right place. Otherwise, how do you even know, right? They just built it and there it is, but maybe they built it 5 feet to the right or something, and now somebody else got cheated on that 5 feet or something. Okay, so that is mostly west of the Mississippi, and we talked about that, where east of the Mississippi, they used a slightly different method called the meets and bounds, where they would just, that's short for measures and boundaries. So they would use more descriptive descriptions of like road boundaries, physical or natural boundaries. The chapter does include like those principal meridians for the different township and range legal descriptions, the PLSS baselines and principal meridians. Just as a quick review, page 284, we're looking at how those townships and ranges are broken up. So this is one section, looks like, of a, let me zoom out here. Yeah, there's a relationship between acres and the PLSS. Close enough. So this is actually the one full section. And a township is 6 by 6 sections, right? So 36 square miles-ish. Because a section is 1 mile by 1 mile square. And as far as acres go, that's by definition is 640 acres, right? Is 1 square mile. Or more correctly, I guess that's 1 square mile is equal to 640 acres. Okay. And then broken up, right? So here's the first fourth. This is a quarter. This would be called a quarter section. And that's the northeast quarter of that section, right? This would be section, this would actually be called section 5. Because they're numbered both bophestrodonically, right? Remember what that word meant? It's as the ox wanders. So you start counting on the northeast corner, and you go 1 through 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, right? And so you're that's bophestrodonically, right? Or call it I don't know, what else do you call it? Switchbacks, okay. Yeah. Anyhow, this would be lot number 5, I mean section number 5, and this would be the northeast quarter of section 5, which a quarter of 640 is 160. And you can break that down into quarters as well. So this is the lower left quarter of this quarter. So that's the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter of section 5. Right? Likewise, let's just pick another one. Sometimes you can go halves, right? Let's go halvesies on this section, right? So this whole thing right here is the northeast quarter of the southwest quarter. So this whole thing is the southwest quarter. This square is the northeast quarter, and this is half of it, right? So this is the west half of the northeast quarter of the southwest quarter, right? That's how they do it. I don't ask. Yeah. Well, yeah. And so you can get down to 16ths and halves of, So this is a 16th of the entire section, which is 40 acres. You'll see a lot of land is broken up into like roughly 40 acre section divisions or whatever, right? A lot of land is broken up like that. In fact, if you superimpose like the PLSS map with all the sections and the 16ths and stuff, a lot of those you'll see roads going through on those lines because they just break up the land and somebody buys that northwest quarter, and so that's how it splits up, and they just put the road in between them. You'll see fence lines along those too.
So if they buy that one
You mean the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter
Yes.
of section 5? Yeah,
Is
okay.
that what? That will.
Yeah, that's part of the legal description. That
Be
would,
the northwest.
yep,
1 acre.
40 acres, yeah. Or, okay, and so inside of that, there may be a subdivision, right?
Yeah, that's what
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I mean. Would you own?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes.
Well, yeah, I mean,
There
that,
are some.
right, San Juan College has like a half a section, or maybe close to a full section with the golf course and campus. So yeah, you would say, okay, so here's maybe a lot number in the subdivision number in whatever book and whatever page, and then with the subdivision name, and that being in the in the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter of section 5 in township 29. I think we're in township 29 from the and range like 13 west of the New Mexico principal meridian, all in the county of San Juan, right? So that's how you would say where that is. That's how you locate it. That's its legal description. Fun, great fun. Well, it does break it down. I mean, that's just, how you can break almost everywhere down by that. It gets worse in the west or in the east where they didn't know what they were doing. There you go. Over there. All right, so now sewage disposal. That's fun too, right? Usually some sort of method to manage the wastewater. Well, it's required. You have to. So here's an example. This is a septic tank, it looks like. So here's a house, has an electrical connection to it, has probably some water in here, has a drain going on for the rain. Now, over here, you have a drainage pipe coming out of the house. Usually, it's going to be listed as like a 4-inch or a 6-inch PVC or terracotta or something, like clay. Sometimes they're made out of clay. Sometimes they're iron. Those things rust and go away, right? So you have to be. It's a good idea to know what you have, right? So you know what's going to happen. Anyway, so you have this pipe coming out of the house that drains basically every drain in the house comes out of that. There's a single drain. Usually there are clean outs on top of it. 2 of them, hopefully. One that goes towards the house, that has a curve that's towards the house, and one that goes away from the house. So you can, usually they're opposite each other, right? So they swoop, bend the line, right? Some sort of dredging line or however those tools that are used to clear, clogged lines and whatever. Sometimes they even have blades on them, and they can, yeah, those things. There's all kinds of cool tools for that, I guess. Anyway, it goes into, in this case, a 1,000-gallon septic tank, which is usually a cement or sometimes plastic or, yeah, pretty much those are the only clay, I guess. Usually concrete tank that just holds water, right? So it's a baffle, and so when the drain from the house goes in there, it has all kinds of different things in it, right? So it has heavier materials that would sink to the bottom, and then the fatty stuff like grease and whatever from cooking or whatever goes down the drain, right? The stuff, the floaties, as you would call them, they would float to the top, right? And there's a name for it. Yeah, it probably says it in the book here, and we'll look at that. And then the pipe, yeah, we'll look at the pipe itself in a minute. And then there's a pipe going out that's in between so it's below the top so that the floaties don't go out of it, but the regular water, right? So as the septic tank allows the heavier materials, sludge, to settle at the bottom, and enzymes will eat that away, so it won't just keep filling up, right? In a healthy system, that's just continually, it's this little ecosystem of grossness that allows enzymes to feed away at the sludge and the floaties. Man, I can't think of the word for it. But anyway, then so the water in between, basically the stuff that can get filtered through the ground, goes out into a leach field. So leach field is just perforated pipe separated by a specific amount. Usually it's like 10 feet. And they're parallel pipes, however many are needed for the size of the tank or for the size of the house. And then basically that water seeps into the ground, and the ground is a natural filter, and it doesn't take very much time or distance, to filter that from all its virus and bacteria and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty good water to enter the groundwater. The what? Dog soap?
Dawn.
Oh. Well, okay, so detergents, typically what they do is they break down fatty materials, right? So, and into things that will sink. So that ends up in the sludge, most likely. If you use too much, though, then it can get into the ground, and that can cause what? Just a imbalance, bacteria. If you use too much bleach, that'll kill the enzymes in a septic tank, and that makes it harder for the septic tank to maintain its balance as well. Yeah, too much detergent. I think it's the phosphors. There's something in it that isn't great to be putting in your land. Yeah, you gotta be careful. Yes. All right. So that's your drain field, your leach field, and usually the property is big enough to handle anything. To basically, by the time the water leaves that property, it's filtered. That's the idea. Yeah, here's a well right there. Usually that would be upstream from the leach field anyway, so that's not an issue. Yeah. And that's probably far enough away, or maybe the groundwater goes this way. You don't have to worry about it. Yeah, oh yeah, see, there you go. That way. Okay. Here's a side view, right? Here's a profile view of what we're talking about. So here's a clean out, capped with a threaded plug, 2 feet max away from the house. And this only goes in one direction, but a lot of times you'll have two. One that'll point the other way, that allows you to slope that other way. And so you can clean out between the pipe and the inside of the house. There's another clean out at the end here, so that's great. There may be some bends in there, I guess, but here, then it goes into a main line, right? So typically you got a 4-inch, right? PVC, and it goes into usually like an 8-inch or 6-inch pipe here, and to a main sewer line that's parallel to the road. It goes down the road. out to the waste treatment, right? And so this is just a storm sewer. Well, no. This is a regular sewer line, so drains out of the house, goes into the main sewer line, and out to water treatment plant, which is like a giant septic tank, right? That treats the water, lets the sediment, lets the heavy stuff sink to the bottom into sludge, has enzymes doing that, and then they'll all the lighter than water stuff, the floaties, will scum. That's what it's called, right? Stuff that floats, scum. And then the regular water, the stuff that's in the water, can be treated with chemicals, right? Like bromine, I think, how they treat most of that, or some sort of bleaching process. Chlorine or bromine. And a lot of times they'll use UV rays, right? So they'll put them out in giant leach ponds or whatever, or ponds, and then the sun's rays will kill a lot of that bacteria. So natural kind of stuff, it's good engineering. So that's a sewer. There's one more, and this is more industrial type of thing. Maybe it's this one. Now this is a septic also. Here's a side view of the septic, in other words. Right? So here's the output from the house. Comes down here. Yeah, scum. Floaties. Right? Solid stuff that's lighter than water. It will float above that downspout. So as water drains in here, it raises the water level. But then that water level, so this level right here and that level right there are same level or very near it. And so any pressure there is going to send the pressure out to your distribution box where all the perforated lines are connected, and they'll go out into parallel lines. And surrounding it, we didn't talk about that, but the perforated tile pipe, and then you have rock that allows the water to seep through the rock and then go out into the regular ground. That's the idea behind a septic tank, septic system. One more, cesspool. This is more like an industrial type of application. Yeah, so this is like all-in-one septic tank, if you will. So the output from the house, okay, this can't, I've never seen one on a house, but whatever. So it comes out, and again, the sludge sinks to the bottom, scum floats to the top. Everything in between, it's a perforated side of the tank. The tank itself is perforated, but it's a lot larger, right? And so the water perforates through the sides of the this concrete that has holes in it and goes through the rock that's around it and seeps into the ground and gets filtered that way. So it's its own leach field basically. Oh, you'll notice also has a tracer wire so you can find the pipe because it's buried, right? Yeah. Yeah, those leach pipes are the perforated pipes that send the water out, and the water seeps through the pipe and slowly, and then it just drains out into the earth, and the earth filters it. As far as pipes above the ground, you might have some poking. Those are your cleanouts, right? And even the lid of the septic tank should be near the top of the, just under your soil, right? Those are hard to find as well. Yeah. Sometimes the leach field can get like too contaminated or whatever with the so it doesn't drain anymore, and that'll back up your septic tank.
Yeah, because it was
So
filling.
yeah,
And so
have to reestablish a leach
they
field.
getting, I guess that,
Must have fixed it.
yeah.
That's good. I think there are chemicals you can put in. Well, you're supposed to like every other month or every 6 months or something like that. Um, called Rid-X. You can buy it at Walmart or whatever. You're supposed to flush that down your toilet or whatever. So that adds enzymes to your septic to help keep it from getting. The other problem is that the sludge gets too high, and because the enzymes aren't eating it fast enough, basically, and so it fills up, and then it blocks up this pipe because the sludge got so high, and then you're screwed. You got to like pump your septic tank out and start over. Well, it's not. I mean, it's not that expensive, I guess, but pump that out. That's cool. All kinds of fun stuff. My in-laws, they live out in Kirtland, or they used to, and that septic tank's like 40 something years old, and they've never had to pump it. They've done pretty good. And they had like 7 kids at home, flushing all kinds of toys and stuff down the toilet. Anyway,
In a washer.
Having that type
the perforations are real small, so no. I don't think it might make it to one of those pipes. Well, it would get eaten. Yeah, the enzymes would probably eat it up. Fish is a lot of protein. Okay. There's some standards here, and we're not going to belabor too much on these, but there's some driveway configurations and some standards, general standards. These could be different depending on where you live. So, but in general, a minimum spacing for like a single car drive or a single car garage or a single car driveway, 10-foot wide, 12-foot radius to the street. And then it goes from there, right? So you can go wider for a parking spot and a drive and a garage. So either way. What else? What? The what? Yeah, so most 2-car garages, they're about 16 to 18 feet wide. Most of them are 16. I think that's the standard garage door, double garage door. Last time I priced one out, saw that 16 feet was. Anyway, so as far as the concrete work, 18 feet, and it can narrow to 10. Has to. Yeah. So yeah, if you're going to put 2 cars here, 18 feet is again kind of a minimum.
minimum one.
Well, 1-car garage, right? But it's with parking. So really you're going to try to park a car over here and put one in the garage. So that's 2 cars wide still. And then this is still just 2 cars in the garage. So it's not that much different except 1 car's outside.
They are.
Over here. We have a neighbor with an RV, and I don't even know what's on the other side because we just see this wall of an RV. we don't even know our neighbors over there because we just never see them. It's kind of nice.
sidewalk.
Can store them or park them
Yeah.
for you, yeah. Yeah. Nice. These turnout aprons are really cool. So instead of backing out into the street, which is, there's a sidewalk here where people walk, right? Usually, and then the street. So you back out into the street and you're crossing a sidewalk. Well, turnout apron allows you to back into here and pull out forward, which is a lot safer. Very cool. I like that. Similarly, you have where the driveway makes a right turn into the garage, so you can back out and then go forward instead of backing all the way out. So it's nice to have that 24-foot apron-ish kind of thing where you can turn out and go forward. Really cool. U-shaped driveways are useful in that you can pull in, but yeah. If it was 2 cars wide, that'd be even better. So you can go both ways. Not necessarily. Here, there is. I'll just go to Google Maps again. I've seen some. Okay, where is this? Oregon. That was fun. Nice little trip to Oregon here. But let's see, not too far from the college itself. We're here in this neighborhood. I see driving down here. I know the guy who lives there. Right there. Hey, a nice one like there. Not a castle. I mean, it's his castle, but it's a nice little U driveway, and it's not super huge or anything or super fancy.
There's one.
Yeah, this is super useful on a busier street.
I love those.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
whoop,
Yeah.
out. Super convenient. Imagine living there. So here's Farmington High.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right here. In the cul-de-sac. That's cool.
And it's cool because
Oh. Fancy. And that's good for a basketball court too. And then here's one that's on the corner. So that's pretty cool. Coming across. That allows you to enter from Sunset as well as that Place as well as Sunset Avenue. All right. Yeah, they're not super common, but useful. Take up a lot of your front yard space, but another one right in the corner. Exit here from the different streets. On the corners, those are. Do that here too. Okay. So we should take a break and then. So while the book has like lots and properties to draw, or whatever, I think it'd be nice to take a property that's local, right? So how do you do that? There is, and we might have it on the server already, so I'm going to just double check that. Our folder. Yeah, we do have, so you can download from the city the building footprints of the buildings in the city. It's great. The city limits, and I think we went over that, and the roads, which is also useful for a plot, right? So here's some data. This is all GIS data, so it's in the place where they're supposed to be, right? So they're already geo-referenced, basically. Then there's the subdivisions as well. So But I was looking for parcels, what are called parcels. I do not see them in here, but we can download them. So I think I'm going to do that now. I go to the county's website, which I believe I've been, okay, not there. Well, let's just go to sjcounty.net. Government services, the geographic info systems. We've done this, right? A couple times. Well, we did this for, yeah, for getting the imagery, which is also useful. Great. Yeah. Yeah, however, I think we can get it from the GIS place a little bit easier. So here's the assessor's map right there. But if I look further down here, here's the open data, and here's the San Juan County parcels right here. So this is going to come in as GIS data itself, right? A little data set, yep. Here's the subdivisions one, and here's the parcels one. So I'm going to click on parcels. You guys don't have, I mean, I'm just going to put it on the server anyway. So you don't have to download a bunch of them. So I'm just going to click on download. See how many there are? There's like a lot, but okay. Because it's vector data, it doesn't really take up that much room. There are different file formats. Any of these can be used in a GIS, but shapefile is probably the most common. So, gonna click on it.
What are parcels?
Yeah, yeah. That's what a house is placed on a property, and that property is called a parcel. Package for that ownership. Going kind of slow, so maybe I'll pause. Okay, so now that we have it downloaded and extracted, there's a parcels folder, should be. Is that at the bottom? Oh, it's not called parcels, it's called 4B6E114F-8B8-437A. So forth and so on. So,
That very first
yeah, it's this one.
file.
Yeah, it's a geodatabase. So we're not going to do anything with it there, but we're going to open up QGIS. And add that geodatabase to a blank map. Yep, new empty project. It should. It's okay. If you look at the icons, I can't really blow this up for you, but it's a can or a cylinder, and that's the symbol for a geodatabase. And then there's a parcels, and then there's the fields and all the fields, but we don't care about that. We're just going to drag the parcels into the map.
So I just dragged that.
I think that's the only thing in there, so it's fine. It'll probably take it, I guess. Okay. So I'm going to go to source, and we look at the coordinate system, and it's using the geographic coordinate system of the WGS 84, the 4326 coordinate system, which is using latitude, longitude, and stuff, which is not going to help us when we want to like measure the length of the parcels and things like that. So what the first thing I would want to do is reproject this, like create another layer in the New Mexico West planar coordinate system that uses, it's actually a projection that uses linear measures like feet or meters, right? So there's a tool to do this. And so I think we can, that work pretty easily. So over here, it could be, I don't know. No. I'm just going to look at reproject. A sign projection is just telling it it's a different coordinate system, which would be a bad idea in this case because all these coordinates and stuff are using latitude, longitude. But reproject layer is what I'm after. So that's under vector general. Not dollar general, vector general. Our parcels, yeah. The target coordinate reference system is going to be, and luckily it'll pull up the recently used ones. So that 2259, the New Mexico West.
Curve geometries.
I don't think so, right? So in fact, I doubt the county actually drew curves. Everything's a straight line, even an arc. It's going to put a lot of straight lines to make an arc, just like AutoCAD does. So so there, and I'm going to save it for sure. And I'm going to save it to my own file because maybe we're going to edit stuff. So yeah, we're going to save to file. And I'm going to put it in on the Autodesk drive, or I'm going to put it on my USB. But you can use the server if you want.
Parcel.
Parsec. That's a Jimmy Neutron reference, isn't it? Yeah. I'm just going to call it SGC parcels.
File.
2259. That'll tell me that it's projected into that EPSG. That'll work for me. Anyway. And open it after we're done. So I'm going to run it. Any questions though? Takes every parcel, reprojects it to a foot-based coordinate, projected foot-based coordinate system. Okay, so now it looked like it ran and loaded it. So now I'm going to take out the. Notice how, so don't I expect that this one's on top of that one? Well, yeah, if I zoom out, it's probably somewhere else. So if I'm going to remove the parcel, well, okay, I think you can zoom extent somewhere up here, but I'm just going to remove the layer, the old one. So now I have my projected one, and if I double click on it, it's okay. Go to source, and it says it's using the EPSG 2259, which is great. Now, that's okay. That's just how the math that it uses to get you there. Now I'm going to change the project's coordinate system, right? By clicking on that little button on the lower right. And I'm going to choose my New Mexico West, the 2259 one. And okay. Then I'm going to right click on it and zoom to layer. There we go. So it should look, well, I guess it looks a little different maybe. Hard to tell. Already gone. All right. Enough? See the coordinates down at the bottom? It's still in latitude, longitude. I think you can go to project properties. Where is it? Where you can change those coordinates, right? I have to look that up. I don't know where to go with that. It's probably under view or something. It should change to its own coordinate system, but not. Settings and options. Could be. Find it, let me know. Where's that? I was looking in there, I didn't see it. Oh, there it is. Thanks.
General?
Measurement units for distance measurement. Where are my coordinate display? Map units feet. It says that. Maybe it just needs to be refreshed or something.
Coordinate.
Current map coordinate. Well, anyway, it's not all that important, but it'd be nice. Let me try it one more time. General setting. Coordinate bearing display. Display coordinates using map units feet. Coordinate precision. Coordinate order.
You want it?
Yeah. Weird. Maybe it really should show. Well, anyway, I bet if you save it or something and shut it down, open it back up, it'd probably go back in. But I'm gonna save it. That reminds me to save it. This will be like chapter 9, whatever. Chapter 9 problem or example. All right. Shut it down, open it back up. It's still on that. Crazy. Anyway. Just coordinates and extent. Still just extents and coordinates and latitude and longitude. Yeah, those are feet. Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. I guess I don't get that. Yeah, it's kind of weird that it. Maybe it's in this setting. Never mind. I'm done looking. Done looking. So, anyway, let's pick a parcel and we're going to export it out as a single unit and then we'll draw a plat out of it. So we can do any of these. This might be a little hard to find, like what you're looking for. But I was going to look for that one with the U driveway. By the college. Or that one by the high school. Yeah, we can do that. It would be easier to add the county's imagery. Did we add that already? The WMS? Yeah, we did. It's right here. There it is. That off, let it run if it's going to. Where are we here? Can almost tell where we are by this. Here. I think it was that house. Found the high school. You can use the identify tool, right? Get the identify tool and pop it right there, and it should say Farmington School District. Yeah, and there's the parcel information from the attribute table off to the right. Anyway. Okay. Well, I think we were talking about this in the cul-de-sac. Yeah, that's Gavin Blair's property. Apparently, I don't know.
That one I thought it was right next. Right next.
Oh,
Nope. Where you have that box.
yeah. Oh, this one?
This one. Was that
Okay.
on my layers issue?
Ramon Bustillos. Okay. I'm using the identify features tool. Okay, so if I look at the property lines, they're all straight except we have one radial, one arc, right? A curve to it. So, what I want to do is just make a map of only that property, make a plat map out of it, basically. So I'm going to actually not just get the identify tool, but get the select tool and select it. I click on it and it highlights it in a yellow. Then I think I can just right click on the layer, export, and save selected features as, right? So it'll take that one selected item and export it out as a file. So it'll be its own file, and then I can turn off the parcels for everybody else. We'll just have him. Okay, so it's going to be a shapefile. We're going to name it. I'll put it in the same folder.
Ramo.
Oh, I was going to put it on my USB here. I'm just going to call it RB parcel. And the CRS is going to be the 2259, so that's great. We're going to keep all these, and we're going to add some of our own. It does say save only the selected features, so that's great. Extent. I kind of want it to keep it'd be nice to have the extent of the parcel itself. But what we can do is, since we're zoomed in on it, we can just use the current map canvas or layer. No, I was hoping I could just do the selected item, but it doesn't look like it. So the current map extent, that would work okay, because it's not perfect, but it's better than the whole county, right? So no more custom stuff. So add save file to the map. Okay, and there it is. Now I can turn off both of those because that other one's not showing up anyway. Here's the parcel. Oh, we're out of time.
Oh.
Okay, so we'll stop here and we'll pick it up again on Monday.